The twin suns of the planet Virelia hung low in the sky, casting long, golden shadows over the sprawling city of crystalline towers. From a distance, the city looked peaceful, serene even. But beneath its sparkling surface, tension ran high. The alien Empress Solara ruled this planet with wisdom and precision. Yet she felt a growing unease. Her elite guards, the Valar, had begun acting strangely, whispering in hidden corners and casting suspicious glances toward the city's exit gates. Solara could feel that something was amiss, though she could not yet see the full picture. High above the city, aboard a human reconnaissance ship, Captain Rian Hale stared at the world below. Humans had long been observers in the galaxy, sent to monitor alien civilizations and report on their developments. Rian had trained his entire life for moments like this, and now he had the rare chance to operate so close to an alien emperor. His mission was simple in theory. Observe the Empress, gather intelligence on her guards, and report any irregularities. In practice, it was anything but simple. Rian had prepared for months, studying Virelia's society, learning the customs of the Valar, and understanding the complex etiquette of the Empress's court. He knew that even a small misstep could be deadly. Still, there was a strange thrill in being here, knowing that humans were capable of operating in the heart of an alien empire and surviving. Unlike many aliens, humans relied on adaptability, quick thinking, and intuition traits that could tip the scales in unexpected ways. The shuttle descended silently, slipping between the spires of the capital city. Rian wore the standard diplomatic uniform of the human envoy, a simple suit of gray and silver that gleamed under the light of Virelia's suns. It allowed him to blend in, signaling respect without drawing too much attention. As he stepped onto the landing platform, the air felt different, thicker somehow, as if the planet itself was aware of his presence. Rian's first moments in the city were spent observing. The streets were alive with the alien populace, their tall, lithe forms moving with elegance and precision. The Valar guards, distinguishable by their armor that shimmered like polished obsidian, moved in formation, their eyes scanning constantly. They were extraordinary beings, capable of strength and speed far beyond human limits. But Rian noted subtle flaws. He saw how their loyalty seemed divided, how a few guards lingered near the gates, exchanging coded signals with unknown figures. Something was brewing, and Rian's instincts told him it was dangerous. Solara appeared in her palace balcony, her presence commanding attention even without words. She was not merely a ruler. She was the embodiment of her civilization's values, grace, intelligence, and an aura of unshakable authority. Her eyes, a deep violet, scanned the horizon as if she could see far beyond the city limits. She had a small retinue, carefully chosen for skill and discretion, yet the unease she felt grew stronger with each passing hour. Something within her court was shifting, and she could sense the storm before it fully arrived. Rian waited for the proper moment to introduce himself. Timing was crucial. Too soon, and he might alarm the Empress. Too late, and the conspiracies of the Valar could put her in danger. He observed the guards carefully, noting the subtle signs of their plan. They whispered in private corners, checked their weapons with unusual diligence, and exchanged brief but urgent gestures. Rian recognized the patterns of an impending escape, not just a routine patrol, but a deliberate flight with items of great value. Possibly even the Empress herself. When he finally approached, Solara regarded him with curiosity. "You are human," she said, her voice calm but measured, carrying a resonance that seemed to echo in the halls. "Your kind is unusual." Rian inclined his head. "I come in peace, Empress Solara. I am here to observe and assist if needed. I believe some of your guards may be planning actions that could threaten your safety." Solara studied him carefully. Humans were known to her from reports, but she had never interacted with one directly. She could sense honesty in his demeanor, a strange quality she found rare among beings who served her. "And what makes you think this is true?" she asked, her violet eyes sharp and assessing. Rian pointed discreetly toward the hallways where the Valar gathered. "Observe their movements. They are planning an escape. They will try to take valuable assets with them. If left unchecked, it could destabilize the palace and your rule. I can help you prevent it. Solara considered his words, feeling a mixture of caution and hope. If this human could indeed see what others had missed, he could be valuable. Still, trust had to be earned. Very well, she said finally. Follow my lead. But be warned, any mistake could be fatal. We cannot allow your kind to interfere recklessly. And Rian nodded, understanding the weight of her words. He moved with care, keeping close but not intrusive. Observing the palace from vantage points the Valar might not notice. It was a delicate dance of timing and perception. Hours passed. The Valar made their preparations. Rian watched as a few of the guards subtly disabled security protocols, coordinated signals with outside operatives, and moved precious artifacts toward hidden compartments in the palace. Their movements were precise, calculated, yet Rian could see the human advantage. Unpredictability. While the aliens followed strict patterns, he could improvise, think ahead, and anticipate outcomes they did not consider. Finally, the moment came. The Valar attempted to flee, moving quickly through the palace corridors toward the exit gates. Alarms began to ring, though muted, indicating a breach without causing mass panic. Rian acted instantly. He intercepted the first guard, using a combination of speed and clever leverage to block his path without causing harm. The guard was taken aback. No human had moved this fast or with such strategy before. Solara followed, keeping close but maintaining dignity and composure. She watched the human in action, a mixture of astonishment and growing respect in her eyes. Rian guided her through hidden passageways, ones she had almost forgotten existed, allowing them to avoid the main corridors filled with Valar and other palace security. He was not just protecting her physically, he was navigating the delicate political terrain of her court, ensuring that no misstep would trigger violence. At one point, a guard lunged from above, attempting to block their path. Rian reacted without hesitation, positioning himself between the guard and Solara. Using a portable shield generator, he carried a device compact but strong enough to deflect blows. He absorbed the impact of the attack, pushing the guard aside without causing injury. Solara's eyes widened slightly at this display. Humans were fragile in body compared to the Valar. Yet here he was, shielding her with a combination of bravery and ingenuity that few alien beings could match. They continued through the labyrinthine corridors, the Valar pursuing but unable to anticipate Rian's creative tactics. He used the palace's environment against them, opening doors to create barriers, redirecting security drones, and manipulating lighting to disorient the guards. Each step highlighted a uniquely human trait: adaptability, intuition, and courage under pressure. Solara began to understand why humans, though physically weaker than many alien species, were respected across the galaxy. Finally, they reached a secure chamber near the palace's outer wall. Rian ensured the doors were sealed and reinforced, while Solara caught her breath, still processing the rapid chain of events. "You are unlike any being I have met," she said, her voice softening. "Your bravery is undeniable, and your mind, clever beyond measure." Rian smiled faintly, feeling a quiet pride but remaining focused. "I only seek to protect, Empress. That is what humans do. We adapt, we act, and we protect those who cannot defend themselves." Solara studied him, a newfound respect taking root. In that moment, she realized that humans were not just another species in the galaxy. They were unpredictable, resourceful, and capable of great courage. If her empire was to face future threats, allies like Rian could make all the difference. As the alarms continued to echo faintly through the palace, Rian prepared for the next stage. The Valar would not give up so easily, and the true test was yet to come. But for the first time, Solara felt a glimmer of hope. With humans by her side, she might survive the betrayal of her guards and protect her empire without violence. And in the quiet of the chamber, a bond began to form. A bond between a human soldier and an alien empress. One built not on fear or power, but on courage, trust, and the understanding that sometimes the smallest beings can make the greatest difference. The first part of their journey had begun, and neither of them could yet know how far it would take them. The palace corridors echoed with the distant sounds of pursuit. Though Rian and Empress Solara had taken shelter in the secure chamber, the Valar guards were not far behind. Their movements were precise and relentless, a reminder of their elite training. Yet, Rian did not panic. Humans were never the fastest or the strongest, but they were clever, and he trusted his instincts. Every step, every turn, every decision could make the difference between safety and disaster. Solara watched him carefully. She had never before seen a human act under such pressure. Where her guards relied on strict rules and force, Rian relied on observation and quick thinking. It was strange, even fascinating. He did not try to match the Valar in strength. He anticipated them, turned their own strategies against them, and used the environment around him. "Captain Hale," Solara said quietly. "They are following us. We cannot stay here." Rian nodded, checking the map he had memorized. "We need to move quickly. There are passageways in this wing that the Valar rarely patrol. If we can reach the observatory chamber, we can use its systems to slow them down and buy us time." Solara followed him without hesitation. Trust was not something she gave lightly, yet Rian had already earned it. Step by step, they moved through the palace, slipping through hidden corridors and secret doors that Solara had nearly forgotten existed. Rian's knowledge of alien architecture was impressive, yet he had relied on intuition as much as study. He sensed where the Valar might go, and where they would be unprepared for his improvisation. As they rounded a corner, a pair of guards appeared, blocking the path. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, and their stance radiated power. Solara froze, instinctively readying herself, but Rian stepped forward. He raised his arm, activating a small device on his wrist that emitted a bright, pulsing light. The Valar paused, confused by the sudden interference with their vision. Without waiting, Rian moved swiftly, using their hesitation to slip past, guiding Solara behind him. "You humans are unpredictable," Solara murmured. "That is our advantage," Rian replied with a calm smile. "We don't follow patterns like the Valar do. That is why we survive." They continued, moving deeper into the palace. The halls were narrower here, the walls lined with intricate carvings that told stories of past empresses and the history of Virelia. Solara glanced at them briefly, her mind partially on her heritage, partially on the immediate danger. Rian noticed her distraction and kept her focused. "The Valar are skilled, but they follow procedure," he said. "They will search systematically. We need to stay ahead, not confront them head-on." Hours seemed to pass in tense silence as they moved through the labyrinth of corridors. Occasionally, they heard the distant metallic clicks of Valar boots, reminding them that the chase was far from over. Rian paused at one junction, pointing toward a maintenance hatch hidden behind a wall panel. "Through here," he said. "It's small, but it will get us to the observatory without being seen." Solara nodded, trusting him implicitly. Humans were fragile. Yes, but Rian's calm determination reassured her. They squeezed through the hatch, the narrow space forcing them to move carefully. The metal walls hummed softly, a reminder of the palace's energy systems running silently around them. Rian led, Solara following, their footsteps muffled against the floor. When they emerged, the observatory chamber was unlike anything Solara had seen. Huge windows overlooked the city, the twin suns casting long shadows across the streets below. Control panels lined the walls, their displays glowing softly. Rian quickly assessed the room, his eyes scanning every system. "This will help," he said. "We can use the environmental controls to create obstacles and slow them down. It won't harm them. Just delay them long enough for us to escape the palace entirely." Solara nodded, amazed at his resourcefulness. "You think like no one else I have met." Rian smiled faintly. "Humans have to. We don't have the strength of the Valar, or the advanced technology of many species. We rely on our minds and our courage. He began pressing buttons, adjusting lighting, activating barriers, and redirecting security drones. The palace systems responded instantly. Lights flashing in strategic patterns, doors locking and unlocking, corridors shifting subtly. When the first Valar reached the observatory corridor, they were momentarily confused by the sudden changes. Rian used the distraction to lead Solara further, keeping them ahead of the pursuing guards. The Valar regrouped quickly, their movements precise but predictable. Rian anticipated their actions, creating small diversions, flashing lights here, a pressure-sensitive door there. The guards slowed, trying to understand the sudden obstacles. Their strength was formidable, but their reliance on strict procedures made them vulnerable to human improvisation. At one point, a guard attempted to push through a locked door. Rian activated a panel that redirected a soft, immobilizing force field in the doorway. The Valar stumbled, caught off balance, and had to retreat. Solara watched in awe, realizing that humans could confront danger in ways the Valar had never considered. "We need to keep moving," Rian said, noticing the guards adapting to the new obstacles. "They will eventually understand the systems, and then we will have no advantage." They left the observatory chamber, moving along narrow ventilation shafts that led toward the palace's outer defenses. Solara followed closely, her confidence in Rian growing with every step. She realized that humans were capable of bravery and selflessness in ways that the Valar could not comprehend. Suddenly, one of the pursuing guards appeared ahead, blocking the only exit. Solara froze instinctively, but Rian stepped forward without hesitation. He activated his portable shield, a device designed to absorb force and protect both him and Solara. The guard lunged, but the shield absorbed the impact. Rian pushed forward, using the brief moment of confusion to guide Solara past the guard. The alien was strong, but Rian's combination of courage and quick thinking made the difference. "You are remarkable," Solara whispered, catching her breath. Rian shook his head, refusing praise. "I'm just doing what I must. Protecting you is my duty." And humans have a way of finding solutions in impossible situations. They continued through the palace, emerging into the outer gardens. The golden light of the setting suns bathed the area in warmth. For a brief moment, the danger seemed distant, though Rian knew it was not over. The Valar would continue their pursuit, but he had gained a crucial advantage: the human ability to adapt, improvise, and act where logic alone could not. Solara looked at him, her admiration clear. "You are different from anyone I have ever known. You are not the strongest, nor the fastest, yet you have outmaneuvered my finest guards." "How can this be?" Rian smiled gently. "We survive because we think, Empress. We act, we learn, and we do not give up, even when the odds are against us. Strength is not just physical, it is also courage, intelligence, and persistence." The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting the city into a soft, golden twilight. The Valar were still in pursuit, but for now, Rian and Solara had a moment of peace. They moved through the gardens, using the terrain to their advantage, ducking behind crystalline plants and slipping between fountains. Rian's mind was already planning the next stage of their escape. He knew that eventually, a confrontation would be unavoidable. The Valar were relentless, trained to pursue and capture. Yet, he had faith in humans' ability to succeed where others might fail. They did not rely solely on strength or rules, they relied on creativity, empathy, and courage. And those traits, he knew, could overcome even the most disciplined adversary. As night fell over Virelia, the city lights twinkled like distant stars. Solara looked at the human beside her and realized that her perception of strength had changed. Humans were not weaker because they were small or fragile. They were extraordinary because they faced danger with a combination of heart, mind, and determination that few species possessed. Rian, despite his fatigue, maintained focus. He guided Solara toward the palace's secondary exit, a lesser-known route leading to a nearby safe house prepared for emergencies. Every step was careful, every decision deliberate, ensuring that no harm would come to the Empress or themselves. Finally, they reached a hidden door, partially concealed by ornamental carvings. Rian opened it, revealing a narrow path leading away from the palace. "This will take us outside the main defenses," he said. "From there, we can plan the next move. We are not yet safe, but we are ahead." Solara followed, her trust in him complete. She understood now that humans were capable of feats beyond what she had imagined. Their courage and ingenuity allowed them to survive, adapt, and protect others, even in the most dangerous situations. As they moved into the shadowed path, Rian cast a final glance at the palace. The Valar would regroup, of course, but he was confident that the human ability to improvise would keep them one step ahead. He had protected the Empress with his mind and courage, and if necessary, he would continue to shield her with his body. The night air was cool against their faces, a contrast to the tension inside the palace. For the first time since the pursuit began, there was a sense of hope. The Valar were formidable, but Rian's human qualities had proven stronger, in ways the aliens could not fully understand. And in that moment, Solara realized that humans were not just survivors. They were heroes in the truest sense, beings capable of courage, compassion, and brilliance, standing tall even when the odds were against them. Together, they moved through the darkness, ready to face whatever challenges awaited, united by trust, respect, and the quiet understanding that sometimes the smallest beings could make the greatest difference. The forest outside the palace shimmered in the dim light of Virelia's twin moons. Tall, crystalline trees stretched high into the sky, their branches reflecting pale light like scattered stars. Rian led Empress Solara carefully along the narrow paths, every sense alert. The Valar guards were still in pursuit, relentless and cunning, but he knew the forest offered advantages the palace could not. "Captain Hale," Solara whispered, glancing at the shadows. "How do we know they are not faster than us? They could catch up at any moment." Rian shook his head slightly, keeping his eyes on the winding trail ahead. "They are stronger, yes, but they are not flexible. They follow rules and patterns. We can outsmart them if we stay calm and use our surroundings." Solara studied him as they walked. His confidence was not arrogance. It was the quiet certainty of someone who had faced danger before and survived. She had seen courage among her own people, but humans were different. They were smaller, yet their minds moved faster than most, and their decisions often came from instinct as much as reason. That combination was lethal when applied with skill. The path led them to a small clearing, where a shallow stream sparkled under the moonlight. Rian paused, listening to the faint rustle of leaves and the distant clanging of Valar armor. He needed to create a trap, but one that would not harm the guards. Humans were known for ingenuity in impossible situations. Sometimes, the simplest solution was the best. "Solara, stay close," Rian whispered. He knelt beside a pile of loose stones by the stream and shifted them carefully. Then he gathered some fallen branches and vines, weaving them in a way that would create an obstacle without hurting anyone. "When they cross here, they will slow down. It's enough for us to gain distance." Solara watched him, amazed. "You think of everything. How do you remain so calm?" Rian smiled faintly. "Humans survive by adapting. We face danger every day in different forms. Fear exists, yes, but it cannot control us. Action must come first." Moments later, the first Valar appeared at the edge of the clearing. Their glowing eyes scanned the area, but they did not see the subtle obstacles Rian had prepared. One guard stepped on a loose stone, stumbled, and nearly fell. Another twisted a vine, losing balance and slowing down. The formation broke for a brief moment, giving Rian and Solara precious seconds to move forward. "Quickly!" Rian urged, guiding Solara across the stream. They leaped over small rocks and branches, keeping silent but moving fast. The forest offered cover, shadows blending them with the surroundings. The Valar were powerful, but their focus on procedure slowed them in unfamiliar terrain. As they moved deeper, the sound of pursuit grew louder. Rian knew they could not run forever. The Valar were trained to endure, and eventually, they would find a way through the obstacles. He needed a plan, and fast. Solara, there is an ancient watchtower ahead, he said. It has systems we can use to delay them further. If we reach it, I can give us time to escape entirely. Solara nodded, trusting him completely. Her usual calm and composed demeanor was mixed with growing admiration. Humans were not just clever, they were brave in ways the Valar could never understand. They reached the watchtower, a tall structure partially hidden by trees. Its walls were made of polished crystal, reflecting moonlight and blending with the forest. Rian opened a hidden door and led Solara inside. The interior was dimly lit, but the control panels along the walls glowed faintly. Rian began scanning them quickly. These are ancient systems, he said. They can create temporary barriers and redirect anyone who enters. We can use them to stall the guards without harming them. Solara watched him work. He pressed buttons with precision, adjusted panels, and activated mechanisms that made doors slide silently across hallways. The Valar were approaching, their sounds echoing through the forest. Rian had little time, but he remained calm, his mind moving faster than the enemies outside. A sudden noise alerted them, a branch snapping nearby. The Valar had split into smaller groups, trying to find alternate paths. Rian knew he had to act immediately. He activated a series of light barriers along the tower's entrance and interior stairways. When the first guards arrived, they were met with sudden, confusing flashes and walls that shifted to block their path. Solara stepped back, watching silently. She had faced countless challenges as a ruler, but she had never seen a human outthink a group of elite soldiers so efficiently. The Valar, though strong and disciplined, were disoriented. Rian's clever use of the environment and systems had given them the upper hand. Captain Hale, it is remarkable, Solara said quietly. Rian shook his head. It's not magic. It's observation, timing, and improvisation. Humans have to make do with what we have. We survive because we think, adapt, and act. The Valar regrouped and tried to push through the barriers, but Rian anticipated their moves. He redirected a light panel to confuse their vision further, and adjusted a stairway to force them into a temporary bottleneck. The guards were still strong, but they could not proceed efficiently. And every second they wasted was a second gained for Rian and Solara. One guard managed to leap onto a landing ahead, blocking the narrow stairway. Solara froze, sensing danger, but Rian moved in front of her instinctively. Stay close, he said. He activated the shield generator he carried, a device small but strong enough to protect them from any impact. The Valar's strikes hit the shield, but it absorbed the force, leaving Rian unharmed. With careful movements, Rian guided Solara past the guard, using his human ingenuity to find gaps the Valar could not predict. Every step demonstrated a unique human quality, courage, quick thinking, and adaptability. Solara felt a growing admiration and gratitude. They reached the top of the watchtower, where a wide platform overlooked the forest and city below. Rian adjusted the control panels one last time, creating a network of barriers that would slow the Valar for hours if needed. He knew it would not stop them forever, but it gave them a critical window. Now we can move, he said, taking Solara's hand to guide her down a hidden ladder leading to a forest trail. We are not safe yet, but we have the advantage. The trail was narrow, winding through tall trees and overgrown plants. Rian led the way, keeping his senses alert for any sign of pursuit. Solara followed, trusting him completely. She had never imagined that a human could be so courageous, clever, and selfless. As they moved, Rian spoke quietly. You may not see it yet, Empress, but humans are extraordinary because we use our minds, our courage, and our hearts. We may not have the strength of the Valar, but we can do what they cannot. Protecting those who cannot defend themselves, that is our strength. Solara listened, inspired. She realized that humans were not just another species, they were capable of greatness in ways that transcended physical limits. They could face overwhelming odds and still find a way to succeed, not through violence, but through ingenuity and determination. Hours passed as they navigated the forest. The sounds of pursuit faded, at least temporarily. Rian knew that the Valar would not give up easily, but he also knew that humans could endure. They did not rely on brute strength. They relied on courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Finally, they reached a small clearing where the moonlight shone brightly. Solara paused, looking back toward the direction of the palace. The pursuit was not over, but they had gained a critical advantage. Humans were resilient, and Rian had proven it. "You have saved me more than once tonight," Solara said, her voice soft but filled with respect. "I did not know humans could be like this. Brave, clever, and compassionate." Rian shook his head, refusing praise. "I am only doing what is right. Protecting you is my duty. And humans survive by acting with courage and thought. That is all." Solara smiled faintly, understanding the truth of his words. She had witnessed human ingenuity firsthand, and it had impressed her deeply. These small beings, fragile in body but formidable in mind and spirit, had a quality that few species could match. As they continued down the forest trail, the first signs of dawn appeared on the horizon. The twin suns of Virelia began to rise, casting golden light across the trees. Rian and Solara moved steadily, their trust in each other growing stronger with each step. The Valar were still out there, regrouping, but for now, humans had the advantage. They could think, adapt, and act in ways the Valar could not anticipate. And in that moment, Solara realized that humans were not merely a species, they were heroes, capable of courage, intelligence, and selflessness that could change the course of events in even the most dangerous situations. Together, they continued through the forest, ready to face whatever came next. The night had tested them, but humans had triumphed, not through force, but through ingenuity, bravery, and heart. And in the quiet moments between danger and survival, Solara began to see the truth. Sometimes, the smallest beings could make the greatest difference in the universe. The first light of dawn spread over the forest, painting the crystalline leaves with shades of gold and pink. Captain Ryan Hale and Empress Solara moved cautiously along the winding path, still alert for any sign of the Valar. Though the night had favored them, Rian knew the Valar were persistent and intelligent. They would not give up easily. Solara walked close to him, her mind racing with thoughts she had never entertained before. She had ruled Virelia for decades and had faced countless threats. Yet humans were unlike anything she had ever known. Rian's courage, quick thinking, and selfless determination had saved her life more than once. He had risked everything to protect her, not for reward or glory, but because it was the right thing to do. "Captain Hale," Solara said softly, "I am beginning to understand something about your kind. You are different from any species I have encountered. You are not only brave, but clever, and you care for others. Even in the face of danger, you think of what is right." Rian glanced at her, his face calm but determined. "That is what humans do, Empress. We survive by helping those who cannot protect themselves. Strength is more than muscles or weapons, it is courage, intelligence, and heart combined." Solara smiled faintly. The words resonated deeply within her. Humans were not just survivors. They were heroes in the truest sense, capable of standing up against overwhelming odds while protecting others. As they moved through the forest, Rian noticed subtle signs that the Valar were still nearby. A broken branch here, a faint footprint there. These were small, almost imperceptible clues, but they told him everything he needed to know. He adjusted their path, weaving through denser parts of the forest where the Valar would struggle to maintain formation. "They are closing in," he whispered. "We must be ready to act. But carefully. We do not need to fight. We just need to stay ahead and outsmart them." Solara nodded. "I trust you completely, Captain Hale." Lead the way. They approached a small river that wound its way through the forest. Rian paused, surveying the area carefully. The river was shallow in some places and wider in others. He spotted several natural obstacles, fallen trees, large stones, and thick clusters of bushes. Using these, he could create barriers without harming the Valar, slowing them long enough for an escape. "Stay close," he said, gently guiding Solara to a safe spot near the riverbank. He moved quickly, adjusting branches, rolling stones into strategic positions, and creating natural obstacles along the path the Valar would follow. When the guards arrived, they would find themselves slowed and redirected, giving Rian and Solara a clear advantage. Soon, the Valar appeared, their glowing eyes scanning the forest. They moved with purpose, expecting to find the Empress easily. But they were not prepared for the ingenuity of a human mind. One guard stumbled over a strategically placed branch. Another paused, confused by the movement of stones in their path. The formation faltered, and for the first time, the Valar were unsure. Rian seized the moment. He led Solara across the river, stepping carefully from stone to stone, her hand resting lightly on his arm for support. "Almost there," he whispered. "We just need to keep moving until we reach the canyon. From there, the terrain will favor us, and the Valar will struggle to follow without risk." Solara kept pace, her heart racing but her trust unwavering. Humans were fragile in body, but their minds were sharp, and Rian's quick thinking had kept them safe through danger after danger. She had never felt so secure with anyone. Yet the safety came not from force, but from intelligence and courage. The forest thinned, and the distant canyon came into view. Jagged cliffs and narrow ledges created a natural barrier. Rian guided Solara carefully along the edge, taking slow, deliberate steps. Below them, the canyon stretched wide, a deep chasm that would be difficult for the Valar to cross quickly. "This is perfect," Rian said quietly. "They cannot follow us easily here. We have control of the high ground." Solara looked down at the canyon, a mix of awe and relief in her eyes. She had ruled her planet for decades, yet she had never imagined that a human could navigate danger so expertly, using the natural environment to their advantage. She realized that humans were extraordinary not in strength or size, but in courage, creativity, and determination. The Valar arrived at the edge of the forest, observing the canyon. Their eyes glowed as they assessed the terrain, but it was clear they were frustrated. They could not easily cross the chasm, and Rian's clever use of obstacles had delayed them significantly. "Now," Rian said, turning to Solara, "we move quickly along the ledges. Keep close and follow my steps." Step by step, they moved along the narrow cliffside. The path was treacherous, but Rian had already planned the safest route. Solara followed closely, her trust in him absolute. Every step required focus, but there was no fear, only determination. They had survived the night, and they would survive this challenge as well. The Valar tried to find alternate routes, but the canyon's cliffs and the obstacles created by Rian made it difficult. They were strong, disciplined, and persistent. Yet they were limited by their reliance on rules and patterns. Humans, on the other hand, could adapt, improvise, and act with intuition, giving Rian and Solara a decisive advantage. Hours passed as they carefully made their way along the canyon. The rising suns cast long shadows across the cliffs, highlighting the narrow paths and sheer drops. Solara realized that humans were capable of remarkable bravery, not because they were fearless, but because they acted despite fear, relying on intellect and heart as much as courage. Finally, they reached a natural plateau that overlooked the canyon and the forest they had crossed. Rian paused, scanning the area for signs of pursuit. The Valar were still visible in the distance, but their progress had slowed. The obstacles, combined with the difficult terrain, had given Rian and Solara the upper hand. "Captain Hale," Solara said, turning to him, "you have saved me more than once. I did not know humans could be like this brave, clever, and selfless. You have risked everything for another being, without hesitation or expectation. It is extraordinary." Rian shook his head gently. I only do what is right. Humans survive not by being the strongest, but by thinking, adapting, and protecting others. Courage is not about strength, it is about heart and action. Solara studied him, her respect and admiration clear. She had faced countless threats in her lifetime, yet she had never seen such a combination of intelligence, bravery, and selflessness. Humans were not merely another species, they were heroes capable of standing against overwhelming odds. The Valar, seeing their delay, finally signaled to retreat. Their mission to capture or harm the Empress had failed. They had underestimated the humans' ingenuity and courage. Rian had used strategy and quick thinking to protect Solara without causing harm, outmaneuvering the strongest and most disciplined soldiers in her empire. Solara felt a sense of relief and pride. She had witnessed human greatness firsthand. Not only had they survived, but they had triumphed without violence. Through courage, intellect, and ingenuity, she realized that humans brought a unique strength to the galaxy, one that could not be measured by power alone. Captain Hale, she said softly, your actions have proven that humans are extraordinary. You have earned my respect and the respect of my people. Your courage, intelligence, and selflessness are qualities that many species lack. You have shown me what true heroism is. Rian bowed slightly, his expression modest. Thank you, Empress. I only seek to do what is right. Humans have always survived by protecting one another and acting with courage and thought. That is our way. The first rays of sunlight touched the canyon, illuminating the humans and alien landscape alike. Rian and Solara stood together, looking out over the forest and the distant palace. The danger was over, at least for now, and the future looked brighter. The Empress turned to Rian, a newfound determination in her eyes. I want to form an alliance, Captain Hale. Your people have qualities that could strengthen my empire. Not through force or dominance, but through courage, wisdom, and heart. Humans are truly remarkable. Rian nodded. An alliance would be mutually beneficial. Empress, humans may be small in size, but our minds and hearts are capable of great things. Together, we can face challenges that neither species could overcome alone. As they began their journey back toward the city, Rian felt a quiet satisfaction. Humans had faced danger and prevailed, not through violence or brute force, but through intelligence, courage, and selflessness. They had protected the Empress and outsmarted the Valar, proving that even the smallest beings could make the greatest difference. Solara walked beside him, her respect and admiration evident. She had learned an important lesson about humanity. Strength was not only physical, but also mental and moral. Humans could inspire loyalty, respect, and hope. And they could change the course of events with courage and intellect. The Valar had retreated, the palace was secure, and a new chapter of cooperation between humans and Virelia began. The Empress recognized that humans brought more than survival skills, they brought innovation, heart, and a unique heroism that would strengthen her empire and enrich the galaxy. And as the suns rose higher in the sky, casting warmth over the forest and city, Rian and Solara moved forward together, ready to face the challenges of the future, united by trust, respect, and the understanding that humans were extraordinary. In the end, it was not strength alone that had saved the day, but the courage, intelligence, and unwavering heart of a single human soldier. And in the quiet of that new dawn, the galaxy seemed a little brighter, knowing that humans were capable of extraordinary heroism.